weekend.
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matala, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to something else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
Cyndi is still waiting for me to play Are You Ready by the Macho Man Randy Savage. But welcome to episode number 270 of Something Else. Feast your ear holes on this week's episode as we take a look at NWA Total Nonstop Action number 83 from February 18th, 2004. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Terry Taylor to my Scott Hudson. It's Cyndi. Cyndi, I'm sorry the Patriots shut out the Seahawks last weekend.
The Seattle Seahawks would like penance from everybody for killing the evil empire.
Not really the evil empire. It's not even the same Patriots team.
The thought still stands. We would have done it to the Chiefs.
I mean, it's like saying, if the Seahawks would have played like the 2001 Patriots, saying that this is them beating the 97 Patriots. It's like a few years, but it's two very, very different teams.
Well, let's be honest. Would we want to deal with the scourge that is Patriots fans?
That's kind of my life, so I don't have a choice in the matter.
Then you owe us a matter of a thank you for putting them to bed.
I do not owe anybody anything. But we are back with some TNA, and despite what Cyndi's deepest, darkest fantasies are, I will never be starting the show playing the Macho Man Randy Savage's rap songs.
Thank God.
Are you ready for the X Division?
No.
I hope not. There really wasn't. I mean, I guess there was some X Division wrestling on this show, but it's like it was a throwaway 8-man tag. But yeah, we're talking about TNA number 83 this week. We are officially less than 7 months left to go in this insane little experiment,
Mm-hmm.
Much like how I'm never going to watch December to Dismember ever again, I am never going to watch these weekly pay-per-views ever again.
Maybe except for the America's X Cup.
Oh, I doubt even that.
Okay, the 8-man tag you'll watch. Because that was a legitimately great match.
I doubt I'll ever watch that again.
Oh, well.
I will make you watch an hour of Edward Chastain matches, followed by an hour of what was Queewee's name? Bruce. An hour of Bruce matches.
So you're gonna convince me to watch NWA Wild Side and the last year of Nitro and Thunder?
Exactly. Well, except it wouldn't be the Queewee, it would be because Queewee was almost interesting. I'd have you watch Bruce. And if Bruce never did anything other than just be in TNA, I'll make you watch those same 10 matches over and over again to fill an entire hour. Or I'll make you watch that tag match with BG James and Jeff Jarrett, where BG tried to give Bruce anal sex, and then when Bruce liked it, BG was sickened by it.
Get me started on BG this week, because if you're not going to, I will.
I don't care enough to go off on it this week, so you're more than welcome to rant and rave about BG James in about 20 minutes. Not even 20 minutes. It's about 15 minutes.
Yeah, but we
So
need to talk about some of the goings on in TNA, and for that, we go to Arya and her trusty Wrestling Observer headlines.
this is news you will only find by listening to me or by reading page 16 of The Observer. So, this week in TNA news, during the pregame show, which was pre-taped last week, they ran a crawl on the screen saying that China would not be appearing on this show as advertised. So I guess, points to them for that at least, even though you could argue that, they should have just reshot the pregame show in that case. But it was said she was making way too many demands. China, on her side, claims that she was calling to confirm transportation and never heard back from them. Juventud Guerrero may not be able to make it to the next America's X Cup. In what will not be the last time you hear us say this about TNA, TNA did not do the immigration paperwork for Juvi and instead has told him to tell immigration that he is coming in as a tourist. It, it's almost hilarious because wasn't it like a month ago in real life, in modern day real life, where like all those people couldn't get into the country for the TNA pay-per-view last month?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's shocking.
It's almost like no matter who owns this company, nobody wants to do the fucking immigration paperwork. Um,
And you
and
really have to do it in this day and age because of how
I,
fucked up our government is.
hey, Nicole Matthews was banned from the country for 5 years, because of immigration issues with her not having the proper paperwork. And also finally, Bill Apter was at this show. They mentioned it at one point, and remember back in the 80s when wrestling promotions would do little segments with Bill Apter giving awards to their wrestlers? Well, he was there to give an award for Tag Team of the Year to America's Most Wanted. And as we'll talk about over the next hour, Bill Apter is not on this show giving America's Most Wanted an award this week. Now, on to this week's show. You might recall at the end of last week's show, Mike Tenay was fired, Fired, fired from his job here in TNA, and we'll get to how serious he took his firing on this show. But because Mike Tenay is fired, we need a new play-by-play guy, and that play-by-play guy is going to be Scott Hudson, of all people.
That's not
Do
that
you
bad.
remember?
I mean, Hudson was good on the last few months of Nitro.
It's actually funny when you watch this show. It's like it's obvious that Mike Tenay is so much of a better choice than Scott Hudson to be the lead announcer on this show. Not that there was ever really any doubt with that, but it reminds me. Do you remember like that? There's like one random episode of Nitro from like 1999. I don't know if Shivani was sick. I don't know if he was on vacation, but like they randomly had Scott Hudson announcing Nitro one week. And that's what this almost reminded me of here, where it's like just out of the blue, here's Scott Hudson. And the funny thing is, we're used to having Scott Hudson on camera 15 or 16 times a show. He had fewer on camera appearances on this show when he was doing the play by play than he does when he's doing the backstage interviews.
Right, because he was only on camera, I think, twice or maybe three times. But I know for
I
sure
counted,
twice.
I counted 4 times, but still, you know. But we go to the ring for our first match, which is Jason Cross, Shark Boy, Roderick Strong, and Jimmy Rave versus Jerry Lynn, Elix Skipper, Sanjay Dutt, and Chris Sabin in an 8-man tag. I would like to point out that Team TNA / Team USA never teamed up once before the America's X Cup. Now that they've lost, now they're having a match as a team on the show. Maybe they should have done this before the tournament, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could have easily gotten 4 job guys to come in and get mauled by the awesome athleticness of Lynn, Sabin, Dutt, and Skipper. Have it go 5 minutes.
This one
Maybe
actually
less
went
than that. Four or 3
this
minutes.
this one went 7. Um,
Right,
so
but
here's
you
a
at least have somebody on the other side in Shark Boy.
I mean, that's a stretch. Like I said, Shark Boy's won like 2 matches in this territory.
Right.
So calling him a somebody is pretty much a stretch.
I know, but at
Uh,
least he's known. I mean,
well, here's a question that has never been asked before and will probably never get asked again, Cyndi. What is in Jerry Lynn's butt?
uh,
And
I don't know enough of the ECW locker room stories to know that.
well, Shark Boy bit Jerry Lynn's butt, and then Shark Boy sold it, meaning that there was something in Jerry Lynn's butt that, Shark Boy was injured by while doing the butt bite. Now, if that wasn't wacky, funny enough, Jerry Lynn then popped me by showing to the referee exactly how Shark Boy was biting his butt. And unfortunately, while it popped me, and this is the story of the show, the crowd did not care. This was another one of those. I I would say for better or worse, this is one of those crowds that were here for the fucking insane clown posse and nothing else. And the only positive is that they more or less keep their hijacking of the show to the insane clown posse segment on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now this is Roderick Strong's debut in TNA, and I mean, well, I say debut. He does not obviously he doesn't really ever do much in TNA. He does have a little bit of a run in a few years. Actually, no, it's not next year. It's in 2 years. But anyway, Roderick Strong, I would estimate about 15 to 20 pounds heavier than he would be when he becomes or when he starts getting a name on the indie scene. Like, I'm not saying he's fat. I'm saying he had a little bit of a stomach here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not
He,
quite the messiah of the backbreaker just yet.
However, shockingly enough, he did break out a bunch of backbreakers. The match did break down into all 8 guys doing moves on each other. And of course, no one has any idea who the legal participants are. Sabin did what we assumed was a crazy dive to the outside, but we can only assume because not only did the live camera cut away to Jerry Lynn tripping Jimmy Rave, but then the replay, and this is the crack TNA production staff this week really deserved to all be fired.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the replay showed a close up of Chris Sabin jumping over the camera person onto all the wrestlers that were behind him. And this is like, it's not even like a TNA Nashville thing. Like, this is a thing for years that TNA's production staff cannot, fucking shoot X Division matches.
It's like you said it before, it was the WCW production crew. And how much did they miss during cruiserweight matches back in the day? The answer is a lot.
And what's his name? I can't think of the fucking producer's name all of a sudden.
Keith Mitchell.
But the producer, who?
Keith Mitchell.
Yes. A, he was in World Class. He was the producer of World Class. But B, when AEW started, he was hired by AEW to be the producer of AEW. And if you can't shoot dives, you should not be producing AEW. Just saying here, people. So Jerry Lynn, who was selling his shoulder, pinned Cross with the tombstone. As we'll get to, one of the best matches on the show, even though it's more or less a 7-minute enhancement match. 5.0 out of 10.
I liked it a little more than you did. I gave it a 6 out of 10. But I did love the action, and I had to look it up. I had to, because I thought Roderick Strong didn't last too long, but then I remembered the first Spike Impact, and the first match was Strong versus Styles. So he's around, but
Not ish, because like I don't know about this weekly pay-per-view deal, but he comes in during the internet era of Impact. There in the summer of '05 after Fox Sports up, but before Spike.
Yeah.
And then him and Aries get future endeavored when they don't fly in for a TNA pay-per-view, and because they wanted them to skip an ROH show because there's supposed to be a snowstorm, and him and Aries didn't, and so they got fired for it. That's not for a couple years.
Yeah.
So after the match, all of Team Jarrett hit the ring, and Jarrett KO'd Lynn with a guitar. Jeff Jarrett, who by the way was nice enough to allow Jerry Lynn to wrestle a match for some reason, then fired Jerry Lynn and appointed Elix Skipper as the new captain of Team TNA. And it was such a nothing thing. It's like, what the hell was the point of this? Like, and I guess the real point is that when they eventually do America or US in the America's X Cup again, Elix Skipper is supposed to be bringing in the Triple X guys to be on the team. But yeah, it's just meh.
Mm-hmm.
So Jarrett said that Don Callis and Tom T took care of the new DOA at the TNA offices without actually explaining what that means. And then Jarrett called out Chris Harris and said that he was going to be giving Chris Harris a non-title match tonight.
Of course. I looked it up. Strong does not return for the weekly pay-per-views.
I did not think so. When does
But
he?
everybody else does.
I mean, we had Jason Cross here for a while, and Shark Boy is seemingly never leaves. And Jimmy Rave, of course, ends up teaming with Lance Hoyt at some point in the future. Speaking of Lance Hoyt, he has to be coming in soon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in a month or so after. Well, we're getting to spoiler territory, but after the whole AJ Abyss thing happens, and oh god, now I'm having flashbacks. Yeah. Anyway, so who's doing the interviews backstage if Hudson's on commentary? Well, it's the computerized man of the 90s, Terrence Taylor.
Terry Taylor, who was a bitch, a stooge, and a degens, is now with the new franchise. I wrote, somehow Goldylocks did not get her job back, which it gotta tell you, in kayfabe, how bad is Goldylocks at her job that the heels are in charge of the company? The guy who does backstage interviews is doing play-by-play, and they still don't go with Goldylocks to be the backstage interviewer person.
I mean, it is baffling because if you remember that match, she's the one who pulled the trigger on Eric Watts. It's because of her that all of this has happened. You would think that Jarrett and all his benevolence would see that and be, all right, you got your job back. Here you go.
I'll be honest, I went into this show assuming she was going to be doing the backstage announcing, and I popped when she wasn't. But Shane 1.0 was offended by Terry Taylor's questions. He told Shane 2.0 to go out there and prove his critics wrong. Other than Cyndi, what critics does Michael Shane have anyway? Anyway, Shane 2.0 was
OSW review. He goes, Matt Bentley, who the fuck is he?
Well, he's not Matt Bentley yet. He's Michael Shane still. WWE hasn't yet signed the Gemini and sent Michael Shane a cease and desist letter. Which is always hilarious because they never end up using the Shane twins name anyway, but still. Anyway, Shane 2.0 was amazed that Shane 1.0, who, by the way, was not dressed to wrestle, but Michael Shane was amazed that Shane Douglas said he wasn't going to wrestle. And they apparently have the ability to turn what I guess was supposed to be a tag team match into a singles match. After Michael Shane and Tracy left, Chris Harris stormed in and took the mic from Terry Taylor, and Terry Taylor responded by shoving Shane Douglas out of the camera range. which I don't know if that was supposed to be on TV or not, but I just thought that was funny. And Harris accepted Jarrett's challenge. And to be honest, when he accepted Jarrett's challenge, I'm like, I don't remember Jarrett actually challenging Harris. I remember him saying he's going to have a match with Chris Harris. But, oh well.
Yeah, it was a decent promo, by the way.
Yeah, Braden Walker could cut at least a decent promo anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we go to the ring for our next match, which was Michael Shane with, and I quote, the lovely Tracy versus Ron Killings with BG James. Now, ring announcer Tim Walsh, like I mentioned, called Tracy the lovely Tracy, but didn't add any adjectives to BG's name. I gotta say, if I were BG, I'd be offended here. I don't know what you could possibly use to describe BG, but I think I think he deserves an adjective or two with his name.
Like fuckface.
The what?
This is the door that opens and says, God damn it. BG James is awful at guest commentary because he came down for guest commentary. Conan was doing he's at the Spanish announce table. And
BG will come up with something that he thinks is funny. BG is very much a teenage child. He comes up with something that he thinks is funny, and it might even be chuckle inducing, but then he says it over and 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 over again to the point where it's now grown worthy. Like how he keeps calling them the French fries instead of the franchise. Like, okay, that's kind of chuckle inducing because A, Shane Douglas is fat, but B, the name it kind of sounds like franchise, but then he says it 8 million times and it's no longer funny.
right.
And then again, he's very white. And I get that's kind of the gimmick that, R-Truth, is hip and cool, and Conan is hip and cool, and BG James thinks he is. During the pre-match interview or the pre-match video package, he told us that they were going to do the do. And I'm like, where's that cease and desist letter from Mountain Dew when you need it?
I think it's at a point where Mountain Dew was even starting to get rid of that advertisement slogan, so they didn't care.
Don't they still have it?
It's now give me a do or something like that. But BG really went off on Tracy for no reason whatsoever, throwing every single disease that you could throw on somebody, even though the diseases that he put on her aren't sexually transmitted. It's interesting to think that he thinks Michael Shane, Shane Douglas, and Tracy are some sort of throuple, but I think you could not do that in the 2004 economy. You have to wait till like 2008 when the housing bubble bursts or something like that, or this day and age.
Can we prove that they are not a throuple? I mean, the idea, like we've said this before, even though they're closer in age than you would think, the idea of Shane Douglas and Tracy, like, because they're like Shane Douglas treats her like Francine, which, hey, they were like close enough in age that like nobody thought twice. But it's like Tracy Brooks is like a young new woman, and it's like it looks like she's making out with her dad, like, which is creepy as fuck, So it's already got creepy vibes anyway without being a throuple. But
I had to watch this match on mute after BG went on, so I was like, all right, mute, and just watch the match on its own.
So
for as much shit as I give Michael Shane, he's a good wrestler.
So we've been saying for months, or at least I've been saying for months, truth is wasted in this group. And you can say or think what you want about R-Truth based purely on his WWE run, but Ron Killings was damn good and really did deserve a bit more than he got. And I get the point of this group is because, they don't want these people lost in the shuffle, so they want to put them in something that's getting semi-regularly featured. But like Truth really deserves more than just being a part of a comedy group here. During Truth's comeback, we were magically whisked away to the dark corner of the arena where the Spanish announcers apparently sit, and Shane Douglas was beating up Conan. BG ran off, which led to Truth just staring at him. Tracy goes for the flying vagina, but Truth blocks it and power bombs her. Then with what I thought was a neat finish with an asterisk, Michael Shane gives Truth a drop toe hold. And if you remember from like a month ago, Tracy legitimately broke her hand when they did that spot where she was, whose back was she on? Was it Chris? I think it was Christopher Daniels' back because they were doing a thing with Triple X where they fell through the table from the middle rope and she broke her hand. So she legitimately has a broken hand and has a cast because of it. But Michael Shane gives Truth a drop toe hold, and Truth lands head first onto Tracy's cast, which could not have felt good at all. And Shane won with a super kick. And I thought like that was a creative little spot there. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do quite that. It was still a little cringy because again, this is a legitimate injury that, we're working on here. It's not like, like when Owen Hart had his quote unquote broken arm or Cowboy Bob Orton had his forearm. That was very suspect. This is a shoot injury that we're dropping grown adults on top of. I like this match as much as I like the opener. I gave it a 5.0 out of 10.
Exactly what I gave it, 5 out of 10. I mean, it was a really solid match, furthers the feud, and it did its job.
It's
so the tailor-made man.
Wait, before before like I realized that was the actual spot, I was having flashbacks. Do you remember that time that they did this battle royal on Raw, and it was like Wade Barrett got eliminated, and he got injured when he got eliminated and was laying on the ground, and then people were being thrown out of the ring on top of him.
Oh yeah,
further injured. That's what I was thinking of here before it became obvious it was the plant spot, which by the way, Michael Shane needs to learn how to carry women off because he tries carrying Tracy's off, but I was like, Jesus Christ, this poor woman, he didn't do a bucket hold, he didn't do a fireman's carry. He's like one arm underneath her head, but the other arm over her legs. It's like that could not have been comfortable for anybody.
No.
So no, Terry Taylor, who's a bitch.
It's not Terry Taylor. It's the tailor-made man. He's changed gimmicks.
Terry Taylor, who's a bitch, a stooge, and a degens, is now with the non-Jeff Jarrett members of Jeff Jarrett's team. Kid Cash threatened the red shirts that they better win. Northcutt and Legend shoved him. David Young wanted nothing to do with the ICP match. He said that clowns didn't make him comfortable and reiterates that he is not afraid of clowns. So Kid Cash volunteered to be the partner of Glenn Gilberti. Gilberti then said he will tell us who signed the loyalty pledge between Simon and Swinger tonight. Why couldn't they just tell us this a month ago?
Because we need a pointless angle for breaking up a good tag team.
There's like 4 teams in this territory, and we're going to break up 2 of them tonight. I guess when the tag team champions are never going to have a tag team match with each other, it really doesn't matter, I guess, but still.
No.
The Red Shirts versus El Leon and Dustin Rhodes. I'm not sure what surprises me more. That Dustin Rhodes did one match during the weekly PPV era, or that he's now doing a second match in the weekly pay-per-view era.
Yeah, the second one surprises me. Oh! We actually have some gimmick progression for El Leon.
Okay. Did he look fat this week? Or like what the hell happened in the last 2 weeks? Is like this is why like I had trouble believing it was Apollo for a while because he was so fucking jacked for the first month that he was here, and it's like here he looked like Apollo wearing a mask. It was the same person, right? I'm not going crazy. Like it's been the same guy under the mask the entire time, right?
Right. It's just that he's not all covered up like he was in previous weeks. And plus, he got a new mask.
He's on a new cycle, I guess, or he's off a
Yeah.
cycle. Yeah, he's no longer wearing his GIMP mask. I guess someone finally told him that it looks like a fucking GIMP mask. Um, I I actually laughed because the crowd was chanting "Gold Dust, Gold Dust," like he's
Okay.
Bill Goldberg.
Yeah. A broken clock is funny twice a day.
Is it? Is it now?
Well, the Juggalos actually came up with a funny chant that's not about ICP or whatever match they are, and it actually was kind of funny.
So Legend got the heat on Dustin with a kick to the back of the head. They did the spot where Elion got the hot tag, but the referee didn't see it, which would have meant more if the crack TNA production staff had showed us how the referee was distracted. Because we just saw Leon get the hot tag, and then the referee decide, oh, nope, I don't think you should be allowed in the ring. Get out. At one point, I don't know who we can point fingers at in this one. I'm going to give a little bit for both here. Dustin tried to scurry between Legend's legs to get to the hot tag, but two things went wrong here. First, Legend didn't spread his legs far enough for Dustin to scurry through. And second, Dustin doesn't realize that he's fatter than he used to be. Because he did not quite make it through Legend's legs, and they basically had to redo that spot again. Leon did get the hot tag. We got a four-way fight, and after a heel miscommunication spot, El Leon pinned Legend with a Uranagi. Honestly, until I later saw what happened, like during this finish, I'm like, you're fucking telling me that this is like El Leon's second match, and his first match was that match with Jeff Jarrett that had no finish. And like you're telling me his second match, he's still not gonna win because I was convinced he was losing here. But yeah. But this was a very basic match, which makes it high on the list of good red shirt matches, or at least high on the list of their least botchy matches. As a matter of fact, like I said, the only botch they had in this entire match wasn't entirely their fault. I give Dustin just as much blame as Legend for that one.
Yeah,
And
this was
before
kind
we,
of a sloppy match.
I still gave it a 2.5 out of 10. Not the worst match on the show.
3.0 out of 10 for me. And can we talk about the post match?
Oh, I'm gonna get that in a second here.
Oh, then I'll
So,
have something after that.
so back in October, the Naturals randomly debuted and attacked America's Most Wanted. Now they did have a match at that point, and then the Naturals disappeared. Then the Naturals came back in January, randomly attacked America's Most Wanted, and were never seen again. How came the fucking Naturals to attack Dustin Rhodes and El Leon? They threw powder into Dustin's eyes and began laying the boots to him. El Leon then tried to murder both of them with a chair, and thankfully both Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens don't have death wishes, and they ducked. I seriously think El Leon swung that chair harder than Balls Mahoney ever dreamed of.
Oh, yeah.
Cindy, do you remember that spot on Raw the one time with Ken Shamrock and The Rock, where Shamrock was on his knees and dared The Rock to hit him in the face with a chair, and The Rock listened? Ken Shamrock would not have been dumb enough to not duck when El Leon was swinging this chair. And with that said, I personally cannot wait for 3 weeks from now when the Naturals make their next appearance on the show, interfering in a match that is not followed up on. Like at this point, like seriously, we know who the Naturals are because it's also been 23 years and we know that, they have, a little bit of a run, over the next few years. But at this point, why are we supposed to give a fuck about the Naturals? They've been on the show 4 times, and 3 of them were for running in and attacking people, and at least one of them haven't been followed up on. And I haven't watched next week's show. My instinct says next week the Naturals are not going to wrestle Dustin Rhodes and El Leon.
Well,
I've
your
been
instincts are correct for one reason.
But yeah, at this point, I'm sure that they'll come in next month, randomly attack, I don't know, 3 Live Crew, and then not be seen until April.
Probably. But to prove your point, Dustin does not return until December.
Yeah, I know he comes in when Dusty gets the book, but I wasn't sure exactly when. So I know he has a feud with Bobby Roode at one point, which is not as good as it sounds. Let me just we're gonna really preface this right now because that sounds like a pretty good little feud there. It's not as good as it sounds.
No, because this is Dustin in between WWE stints was not in the best headspace.
Let's not tell you in his book. He basically this entire decade he is fucked up. You know, he gets really fucked up during the Black Rain era. That's just depressing. But yeah, like it's easy to sit here and say in 2026, like, oh, Dustin Rhodes is wrestling, and you're thinking like, oh man, we're like even AEW Dustin Rhodes, that's pretty fucking good. Now AEW Dustin Rhodes is after Dustin got clean. Long after Dustin got clean. This is while Dustin was not clean.
No.
Let's call it that.
It is quite depressing to watch Dustin from Plane Ride from Hell to when did he return to WWE? It was it 2012, 2013?
I mean, he has a run in 2005, 2006. And then he kept being brought in sporadically. And then I think he comes I think the full time, for lack of a better word, the full time run is when they do the Cody, Dustin, and Dusty and the Shield angle in 2013.
And he gets clean after that. He's totally clean there.
I would say I think he's clean at that point. But honestly, at this point, and hey, this is going to be a little bit of foreshadowing. Dustin Rhodes in TNA at this point is like Jeff Hardy in TNA. And I don't mean Jeff Hardy in TNA in 2026. I mean the Jeff Hardy in TNA from 2004 until 20, I don't know, when Jeff Hardy officially cleaned up, but I think the last real problem, well, not really, but the last major problem was that Victory Road 2011 debacle.
Oh yeah.
But it's we'll get to the Jeff Hardy era in a little bit. But in a lot of ways, Dustin Rhodes in TNA is like Jeff Hardy in TNA. You're expecting more because you see them do a lot better in WWE, but no, this doesn't work.
Nope.
Did we ever rate this? I gave it a 2.5.
I gave it a 3. So
Terry Taylor, who was a bitch, a stooge and a degens, is now with Jim Mitchell on The Gathering. Mitchell doesn't believe Raven is back and pointed out that without Raven, The Gathering has been on a winning streak. They have won 5 matches in a row. Mind you, they're all against the Sandman, but hey, that's still 5 matches.
Yeah.
Scott Hudson and Don West did it on camera. I know this is only the second time Hudson's face was on camera so far. They feel that both Raven and the new Director of Authority are here. And Cyndi, here's a question that didn't get asked. What if Raven is the Director of Authority?
Then I would be fucking scared.
I think it'd be more fun than the real Director of Authority.
Yeah. And plus you have somebody who knows how to book storylines.
So this is where I get TNA and wrestling. You're supposed to kind of tune your brain out a little bit, but this is where the shit really doesn't make sense. Because we are told that TNA officials have been meeting with lawyers all day about who the new director of authority is and negotiating with them. Cyndi, who are the TNA officials? Who have we been told on this show are in charge of TNA right now?
Callis and Stenenbaum and Jarrett.
And Jeff Jarrett. So what are they negotiating with? If they're negotiating with the new director of authority, how do they not know who it is? And if they don't want a new director of authority, if they just want absolute power to corrupt them absolutely, why would they even be allowing this?
And I have no idea.
Plus, they try to tell us that like the director of authority is appointed by the NWA board of directors before they all resign, and they have the power to oversee TNA and only answer to the NWA. However, if they are overseeing, if the NWA does have the ability to oversee TNA, why would we even need an NWA director of authority? If TNA officials can just say, Jeff Jarrett, you are not allowed to fire half the roster, but I know I'm putting far more thought into this than anyone involved in TNA ever has, but it's ridiculous.
It's more ridiculous than a world championship dedicated to Microsoft Excel.
What are you talking about?
Okay. The reason why we're recording late is because I was hanging out with a friend. We went to Applebee's for dinner, and ESPN 8 The Ocho was on.
Huh?
They had on the Microsoft Excel World Championships from 2024.
Well, of course, they haven't had the Microsoft Excel World Championships from 2026 yet, I guess.
No, that hasn't happened yet, but the 2025 one has happened, just haven't edited it yet. And, oh, good Lord. I mean, it was treated like a massive esports event with Omen gaming computers and uniforms that you would see like if, like a Counter-Strike tournament or a League of Legends tournament or something like that. It was one of the weirdest things we ever watched.
I just like that you still managed to watch the Microsoft Excel World Championships from 2024. I was on a date last night and I was actively avoiding the NBA dunk contest so I could come home and watch it later. And I managed to do that, and you managed to still watch the Microsoft Excel World Championships.
No, they just had it on. We weren't actively watching it. They had the Olympics on because we were sitting in the bar, so it made sense.
I think I don't know. I think I'm more disappointed that you ate at Applebee's than I am that you were watching the Microsoft Excel World Championships.
It's because there was like a 45-minute wait at the Olive Garden.
Well, that explains who the hell goes to Applebee's. Kid Cash and David Young were arguing with the red shirts, so Jeff Jarrett came up and hit Legend with a guitar before screaming at Kevin Northcutt that he had to choose between Legend and them. They cut away literally while Kevin Northcutt was mid turning around to walk away on Legend. And it's like that happened and it never got brought up again. And according to Cage Match, this was the end of Legend in TNA. And believe it or not, it is not quite yet the end of Kevin Northcutt.
Nope. So the count this week is at 2.
We saw clips of Johnny Fairplay on CBS's The Early Show where he plugged TNA on pay-per-view. He got the name out there, said when it happened, how you can watch it, and then showed the clip of AJ Styles giving him a power bomb. Let it be known that Johnny Fairplay is a better celebrity for TNA than Hulk Hogan ever was.
Absolutely. I mean, Brian Urlacher plugged them after he bodied Johnny Fairplay.
I say, and I'm not even just talking about the Hulk Hogan in 2003. I'm not like Hulk Hogan in 2010. Like, how many times did you see stories about Hogan did an interview with Here, There, and Everywhere, and he never mentioned being in TNA?
Never did. Like, he always treated TNA like it was second class, like it was another paycheck.
I forget where I saw, maybe it was with Chris Van Vliet, but AJ Styles was talking about this somewhat recently and basically said that he thinks Hogan was embarrassed to be in TNA. Well, I get it, but it's like, dude, you willingly signed and you took their money for 3 years. You know, you got to do something here, people.
Mm-hmm.
In the ring, a blonde woman, and I thought it was not Bobcat, the
Lollipop.
blonde. Yeah, I thought it was Lollipop, but I don't think it was her.
It had to be Lollipop
Um,
because what was she sucking on?
she wasn't sucking on anything.
Yeah, she was. She was sucking on a lollipop.
Well, that was not a focus of this segment. So she handed Tim Walsh a prepared statement, excuse me, which Walsh read as the introduction for young Johnny Fairplay. Now, I did not notice this for anybody else, and maybe I just didn't look during anyone else's intro. But during Johnny Fairplay's intro, he has a little Titantron there next to the entryway, and his Titantron is a still picture of him with the production time bar at the bottom. Like, you know, that time bar that you see when you look at, production stills and pre-production?
Mm-hmm.
I I would like to assume that that was on purpose, but this is TNA production we're talking about. So this was for playing fair with Johnny, and like they didn't even bother like to get him a new guest. It's like this was just Johnny Fairplay ripping on China. And he talked about how Triple H's nose. Yeah, he started talking about Triple H too, because the guy is such a power trip. He now has to be the main focus of two shows, I guess. He talks about how Triple H's nose was bigger than China's Adam's apple. He talked about illegally downloading China's CD, which I'd forgotten she even had a fucking CD. Can can you fucking imagine anybody paying for that shit? Um,
I didn't even know she had a CD.
yeah, he illegally downloaded it, and then when the police showed up at his door, he pled insanity, and got away with it because again, who the fuck would pay for China's CD? Fairplay said he was suing China, Simon Diamond, Brian Urlacher, and AJ Styles, which brought out AJ, who only had one tag team title belt. And I gotta tell you, I know, sometimes I'm opposed to comedy segments, but I want to see the skit where AJ Styles gave one of the tag team title belts to Abyss. Because when he left here 2 weeks ago, he had both tag team title belts. Anyway, so AJ embraced the crowd chanting for the Juggalos by saying both he and them would break Fairplay's neck, which, at least got the crowd to shut up for a second because they cheered for AJ there. AJ said he has Abyss to deal with tonight and that Fairplay isn't a monster. He's an overgrown chia pet. Fairplay said if he wasn't hurt, he'd kick AJ's ass. So AJ frightened him and Fairplay tried to bail. Now, Fairplay was out there with his neck brace on and randomly a sling. I don't know why he had a sling. I don't remember them doing anything other than that power bomb. I guess you could say he may have hurt his arm when Urlacher pressed him out of the ring. But
That's exactly what
anyway,
happened because he had the sling 2 weeks ago.
but anywho, he more or less took the sling off, proving that that was fake. And so AJ ran after him. But before AJ could do anything to him, AJ Styles' tag team championship partner attacked him from behind. Man, I got to tell you, what world are we living in when the champions don't get along?
I mean, it's like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in 2018 all over again.
be fair, they
They're tag
won the
team champs, and
titles.
yeah,
They won the titles before Moxley turned on him. And by before, I mean like 30 seconds before, but still it was before.
yeah. What a waste of a tag team run. And
Rollins and Moxley or AJ and Abyss?
yes,
So apparently they have the same feeling that Teddy Long used to. If you can't get along, you got to get it on. And we then go to our ensuing match. By the way, do you have anything to say about playing fair with Johnny?
uh, it helped get AJ over a bit more and helped get Fair Play over as a bit of a douchebag. But apart from that, I could take it or leave it. It was just there. Oh, and adding to the count, this is Lollipop's last appearance on TNA. She is gone after tonight.
I can't believe you looked up when Lollipop would appear on this show again.
Okay, then I'll spoil it some more. You know the other cage dancer that's there?
No, but sure.
She's gone after tonight. So
There's
the
another
blood
cage
counts
dancer?
at 4. Yeah, because they had 2.
I guess I'm more curious. Like, okay, I go to Cage Match. I can tell you that Joey Legend isn't on this show again. I didn't look it up, but I can tell you that Dustin Rhodes is not on this show again. Where the hell did you look up to find that that Lollipop and the other cage dancer are not on this show again?
That's because, spoiler alert for next week, they get rid of the cages.
When was the last time they even like I know that they were there because like there was like whenever the last time Jeff Jarrett had a walk and brawl, the cages were there. But when was the last time they even had the cage dancers on the show? Because like they at least used to have them so they could do the crawl at the bottom of the screen to tell you where all the NWA shows are going to be. It's like I can't
Yeah,
even tell you the last time. It was probably whenever Tracy was with her partner that I don't fucking remember.
Nurse
And then when
Victoria.
When Trinity was forcing them to be a lesbian throuple at one point. Um, yeah. So anyway, we go to our next match, which is AJ Styles versus Abyss for control of the tag team titles. I am disappointed that Abyss did not come out with his championship belt. Now, we're told that the winner of this match gets to choose his partner to be the champions with. Now, here's how you know Vince Russo really isn't in charge of anything, because what would happen here is one of them would win. Maybe, like AJ Styles would win, but then it would be a swerve because AJ would then pick Abyss to be his tag team title partner. But either way, wouldn't it have been better? And I get something. Oh well, they did this in other companies. Doing it in other companies doesn't make it good. It just means that more than one person did the same dumb idea. But wouldn't it have been better if instead AJ had picked a partner, Abyss had picked a partner, and then we had a tag team match to determine who the tag team champions were?
That'd be a better idea. That'd actually be a good idea. Better than what they did here.
So Abyss was nice enough to clear the ring of Johnny Fairplay's talk show set. Now, these two have great chemistry, and these two will have great matches with each other. Sometimes shockingly great, because Abyss never really got the credit he deserves as a good big guy wrestler. And AJ Styles, of course, one of, I'm not gonna say one of the best of all time, but it's like he's not the best of all time category, but he is the next level down, in my opinion. Like if you were to rank, the greatest wrestlers ever. So there was just something off with this match. I don't know what god AJ Styles pissed off this week, but this was not a good showing for these two guys here.
Oh no, it
Like
wasn't.
everything they were doing was just a step off. Like at one point they did the spot, like we've seen Abyss do this already on this show, and we'll see him do it for years, where he throws the guy up in the air and then guides them down. Like, and it looks devastating, but it's fake, so he's just guiding him down. Well, he throws AJ up in the air, and his hand was in the wrong spot because instead he drove AJ face first into the mat, and I'm shocked he didn't break his fucking nose here.
Yeah. But he was shook after that happened.
Yeah. Abyss stood on the middle rope and hung AJ in the air with a forearm choke, while Don West screamed that should be illegal. Well, I have good news for Don West. That move is in fact illegal. You're not allowed to choke people, even if it kind of looks pretty cool. Abyss set up a table outside the ring and went for a power bomb from inside the ring, but even AJ Styles is not that stupid, so he got out of it. AJ tried to do his back flip into a Scorpion Death Drop spot, but they messed that up to an epic degree. And dang,
it was just a bad match.
The funny thing is, they brought the table into the ring. AJ brings it into the ring, and somehow they blew fewer spots with less surface area to work on than they did before. So, Abyss gingerly puts himself on the table, which that table looked like it was going to fall apart with Abyss gingerly laying on it. And AJ should have realized something was up, as soon as AJ went to the top rope, Abyss got off the table and continued to attack. AJ went for a sunset flip power bomb, but because that's not a spot that was going to happen in this match, Abyss held on to the top rope for dear life when Jeff Jarrett suddenly ran in and dick kicked AJ Styles. And well,
you can't do that.
The referee disqualified Abyss here. And by the way, despite the fact, and I question this later on when I recap this, does this mean AJ Styles is now the tag team champions because he won the match? And if you want to say he won by disqualification, this is TNA where you can win the titles by disqualification. He does not win the tag team titles here. Despite winning the match by disqualification.
I think they resolved it because Tim Weeks at the end called it a no contest.
It's not a no contest. It's a disqualification win for AJ.
Well, I'm just going off what the ref said because, as we saw last week, the refs are bound to Jarrett, and he probably told him it's a no contest or you're fired.
Well, they should have said that out loud because it was not. Tim Walsh did not announce it as a no contest. By the way, so we've talked about how bad this match had been so far. If that wasn't enough, Abyss, oh my God. So the table we mentioned is gimmicked. And tables are what? 5-6 feet long. And pretty much as long as you throw your opponent through that 4 feet in the middle, you're good. It will break. However, because nothing in this match could go right, Abyss gives AJ a whirly bird, and AJ lands above the table leg. So the table didn't break. The leg broke a little bit. So now, because we're going to break this fucking table one way or the other, AJ is like slipping off the table. So Jarrett kind of yanks him up the slanted table so Abyss could go to the middle rope for a dive of some kind. The second Abyss jumps, the table with AJ Styles on it tips over, and Abyss lands stomach first onto the side of the table. And if that's not bad enough, because, oh yeah, it gets better, Abyss bounces off the table and lands knee first onto AJ's head. Finally, Chris Harris, who Should have made this save 5 minutes ago. Chris Harris ran in for the save and saved AJ Styles' life. And we never saw AJ Styles again. AJ Styles didn't move. And thankfully, by the sounds of it, he was fine. He might have been shook up a bit, but Jesus Christ. If this match didn't turn AJ Styles into an atheist, nothing would.
Love that line.
This, like, this is easily the worst match AJ Styles and Abyss ever have. And before anyone brings it up, it is worse than that match that they have in 2010 that features AJ Styles, Nigel McGuinness, and Ric Flair falling through a hole in the ring. And I still, I almost feel generous after all that for saying this. I still gave it a 2.0 out of 10.
I gave it a 3 for no other reason that I like these two guys. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. So now we get to the man who was responsible for Skip Over, and he's with Diamond and Swinger, who, by the way, I heard is a bitch and a degen.
And a stooge.
And a stooge.
And they both deny signing the contract.
Right.
Is there anything else to say about that?
No.
Insane Clown Posse versus Kid Cash and Glenn Gilberti in a Juggalo street fight. During the pre-match video package, Kid Cash threatens David Young that if Jeff Jarrett finds out that Young is afraid of clowns, then he'd be fired. Cyndi, are you afraid of clowns?
Nope.
Are you just telling me that because you don't want me to fire you?
No, I'm legitimately not afraid of clowns.
Okay, good. So Kid Cash, we've been talking about every time TNA production is fucked up on this show, but this match starts with Kid Cash diving out of the ring onto the Insane Clown Posse, and this is one of those good news, bad news situations. The good news is the camera was in perfect position, and Kid Cash dove onto the Insane Clown Posse right on camera. The bad news is it was during Insane Clown Posse's entrance, so the lights weren't even turned on. And thus you could not see it. So I mentioned this a few weeks ago, especially during that match where they were all handcuffed together and Cash was handcuffed to Jerry Lynn. Kid Cash really has been the MVP of TNA. And as we mentioned before, when we've had to watch the Insane Clown Posse wrestle, you know, when you're going to book schmucks like the Insane Clown Posse in a match, you need people like Gilberti, Kid Cash, and David Young to carry them to whatever the matches are going to be. But with that said, the ICP had an off night as they, much like AJ Styles and Abyss, kept being slightly off on moves. Whatever curse has affected AJ has now afflicted Insane Clown Posse as well. David Young came out and got into a fist fight with Too Tough Tony, which always makes me laugh because, and I guess Too Tough Tony isn't a clown, but David Young, the most intense we've ever seen David Young is when he's in the ring fighting Too Tough Tony. That guy's throwing fists. I don't know what Too Tough Tony did to David Young, but David Young ain't someone to fuck around with, apparently.
Nope. Maybe it was a scene from a JCW show because TNA people were doing those shows around this time.
So I wrote Shaggy 2 Dope was involved in the finish. I could be wrong. It could have been Violent J. I did not care enough to rewind to double check. But I wrote Shaggy 2 Dope went for a sunset flip on Kid Cash that Kid Cash blocked, but he got into a fight with the referee, so the referee shoved him down and he got pinned. After the match, Kid Cash and Glenn Gilberti argued with David Young until Cash realized that this was Mike Posey's fault, so he slapped Posey. Posey decked him, so the three heels then beat the shit out of Mike Posey. Sorry, not sorry. This is Mike Posey's fault. You know, he he caused the finish of the match. He caused Kid Cash to lose, and then he slapped one of the wrestlers, you know, or he punched one of the wrestlers, I guess. And I guess Cash did slap him, but still, he should not, like, referees should not be deciding outcomes in matches. Um, but outran Simon and Swinger, who ran them off. Simon then grabbed the clipboard, and this was poorly done. I know what they were going for, but like, what was kind of the point of like, because the swerve is that it was, in fact, as we all know, Johnny Swinger had signed the pledge, and like Swinger the whole time had that look of, that real embarrassed look that, yeah, he's been caught now. But it's like, why bother? Like, he ran out here like knowing he was about to get caught. Why bother? And then it's like, okay, maybe you could tell the story that, you know, next week Swinger does an interview and he's like, you know what? I thought Simon and I were on the same page. I thought Simon was going to sign. And so, yeah, I signed because I figured he already signed or was about to sign. And then you do the swerve where Swinger beats the shit out of Simon. And I mean, even then you're just delaying the swerve even more. But then it's like, what's the point of him being all embarrassed about having signed? Because he just turned on Simon straight away anyway. Because, yeah, we got a 4-on-1 beatdown on Simon until Don Harris, Chris Vaughn, and two other people that I'm pretty sure one of them was Caprice Coleman, but I didn't look at the explosion results. That would have tipped it off to me. But two other black shirt security guys ran in and made the save. And so, yeah, Simon Diamond is now a babyface on his own, and Johnny Swinger is back as a heel with Disco Inferno and David Young. Who needs good tag team wrestling, right?
This was bad. I mean, the brawl was okay, I guess, but weird, bad finish, and this post-match thing was even worse.
2.0 out of 10.
2.0 out of 10 for me as well. And I know that Mike Posey wrestles in the future. I'm just kind of blawed that this is kind of the kickoff to it. So now we get to the Red Rooster.
Terry Taylor, who was a bitch, a stooge, and a degens, is now with Goldylocks. Because, yeah, Goldylocks said Eric Watts is not here tonight, so Goldylocks grabbed the mic and talked. Suddenly, Mike Tenay, who was fired last week, walked in wearing his leather jacket and dragged Terry Taylor away. So an unemployed man showed up, snuck backstage somehow, and was able to interrupt a live television production. I guess the babyface security guys are busy, in the ring right now, and we've fired 2/3 of the heel security team. So who the hell's going to stop Mike Tenay at this point? And ultimately, by the end of the show, what was the point of him dragging Terry Taylor away? Because Terry Taylor comes back. Like, this is not the last Terry Taylor segment. Terry Taylor comes back. What was the point of dragging Terry Taylor away?
I have no clue.
Like, this was done. Like, this was we're on live, like, regular television, so we want people to know, hey, stay tuned because something is here, kind of thing. But it's like, no one is buying the pay-per-view 90 minutes into the show because, oh my God, I just found out Mike Tenay just showed up on TNA. I love that Mike Tenay has two outfits. He has a tuxedo and he has the leather jacket outfit that he wears for the interrogator segment.
You have to admit it is kind of a good outfit, though.
It's funny because, like, until he showed up wearing that leather jacket, I'm like, Mike Tenay doesn't have a second outfit. He just has the tuxedo. I was trying to think to myself, I've never seen Mike Tenay not wear one of those two outfits or wearing anything other than a tuxedo. But then he showed up with the leather jacket. I'm like, oh yeah, the interrogator segment.
Yeah. However, when they cut to uh, Don West and Scott Hudson, Don West looked very happy that his best friend had come back. Like,
You know,
the only other time
he's
he was happier, he was selling Griffey rookie cards at the shop at Hold Network.
he missed Mike today. He's been gone for an entire 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Gathering versus Raven and Terry Funk. Raven returned for the first time since January 7th and was wearing his quote unquote ECW gear, for lack of a better word, meaning that instead of a skirt, he was wearing a t shirt and jorts. And for whatever reason, and I guess we find out in the aftermatch, um, Jim Mitchell does not come out to ringside. This is just CM Punk and Julio on their own. So I don't know how Funk started bleeding, but Terry Funk bled a gusher here in this match.
I think Julio whacked him with a chair.
And it's hilarious because it's like this is another one of those TNA matches that it's like we don't have any rules until we do. And it's like you get to like, oh, it's a Raven match, there's no rules, they just do whatever. But then they just break down into a tag team match. You know? And then the funny part is they weren't even standing on the right corners. Like, did you notice? Like, normally when you're looking at the ring in TNA off the hard camera, the in a tag match you stand at the back left and the front right. And here they were in the back right and the front left. Now, Funk tried to tag out to Punk, which was a planned spot. Unlike that time Road Dogg tried to tag out during the Royal Rumble. Raven tagged in and Funk tagged out, stood up, and immediately gave Julio a Stone Cold Stunner and almost got the pin. And then Raven pinned Julio for real with the Even Flow DDT. After the match, the Gathering attacked Raven, and Jim Mitchell came out with a stun gun. Punk and Julio held Raven for the stun gun, but Terry Funk dove in and took the stun gun to the chest. Raven fired up and the heels ran off, even though everything that they've been doing with Punk and Julio since January 7th has all been right. We've talked about it on this show. Every week, the Gathering would come out here and wrestle a tag team match, and they would win. They would win clean. They would win decisively. But the fact is, it's like nobody really cared because they all knew that when Raven came back, he'd make them look like his bitches. And that's exactly what happened here. They did nothing to show that they were actual threats to Raven. Raven beat them, in my opinion, Raven beat them quite easily because once he got in the ring, he just beat the shit out of both of them and pinned them immediately with the DDT. And, you know, and then the best part is he gets his revenge on them by beating them in this match. But now, as we're going to see, he's now going to get more revenge. It's not even like, you know, the Gathering beat them because that would have been, and I guarantee Terry Funk, who puts over everybody and their mother, Terry Funk did not balk at losing to CM Punk and Julio De Niro. You know, this was not a Terry Funk decision to not lose here. Instead of that, and so now you have to have Raven do the, oh my God, now I got to get another partner thing. No, instead he just beat them quite handily, and it's like, well, we're still going to wrestle because I've got nothing else to do. And yeah, 3.5 out of 10.
That's exactly what I gave it. Funk. Now, two things. One, I gotta think Funk broke the mood meter in this episode after with the gusher, and I think it's like a 1.5 on it.
And the second thing,
this is Terry Funk's last appearance in TNA, so the count's now at 5.
I don't really count that. Like Terry Funk's been I was in twice. It's like, we mentioned Roderick Strong isn't going to be on the show again. We don't count Roderick Strong.
I didn't count Roderick's.
You know, it's like, yeah, like Terry Funk was a guest star. Like I didn't count like Mikey Whipwreck a couple of weeks ago, but like, oh, this is Mikey's last appearance because it's a guest appearance kind of thing. Or like when Vader was here for 2 weeks, it's like, oh, this is Vader's last appearance. Like Vader's a guest star, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Terry Taylor, who was a bitch of stooge in the degens, is now with Scott D'Amore of all people. Scott D'Amore announces that TNA officials, who again are Jeff Jarrett and Don Callis, have decided to make America's X Cup a regular event, and the next event is March 10th. It is Mexico versus Canada, and that Canada will be captained by Teddy Hart. And that allows me to use my other favorite Simpsons audio clip.
This match will determine once and for all which nation is the greatest on Earth, Mexico or Portugal.
Are you ready for some soccer?
And see, Petey Williams is on his way in with his Canadian Destroyer, and
Oh.
CM Punk is on his way out because
Well, let's save that for
moment-
next week. Save it for next week.
Oh, I don't even know exactly when it happens. I just know it happens soon because the
Next
famous
week.
moment with CM Punk and Teddy Hart is coming up very soon.
It happens next week.
Apparently next week. So speaking of next week, it is okay. Are they having a 6-person tag? Or are they having a tag match? Or are they having? Or what the hell are they having? Three Live Crew is going to wrestle the new franchise, and Tracy Brooks may be in the match. She may not be in the match, but they didn't even really tell us what that match was. And then we're also going to get Abyss versus AJ Styles in a tables match for the tag team titles, and they didn't even really explain that. They just said there'll be 4 tables in the ring. It's like, okay. It's like not even an odd number, so you can't even say, oh, well, the person who puts the other person out through 3 tables wins. It's like, what if they put each other through 2 tables? Who wins then? And I guess this confirmed that despite winning the match earlier, AJ Styles did not win the tag team titles. And from here, the camera crew was now with Raven. And there was poor audio. But the good news is Raven yelled loud enough to get over the audio interference. He said that he looked in his drawer and found his leather jacket, jean shorts, and a flannel shirt. And I'm sure he meant like a dresser drawer. But like when he said my drawer, like I was like thinking like an office desk drawer. Like, somehow he stuffed a leather jacket, a flannel shirt, and jorts into an office desk drawer. But anyway, next week he's going to team with Sabu against the Gathering in an effort to get more revenge. I always love, again, that, every week it seems like someone's able to come out and book their own match. And this is part 1 of Raven's 87-step plan to get at Jeff Jarrett and the NWA title.
Yep. And he thanked Jim Mitchell in this promo for helping Raven rediscover himself. The bastard Raven that doesn't give a shit about anybody else, Raven, not even himself.
He's trying to be elected NWA champion. I think he doesn't realize that they no longer do a vote to see who gets the NWA title.
Well, they do vote to see who's the commissioner of the NWA. That's how we wound up with Jobber Joe Kazana as the commissioner.
When the hell did Joe Kazana become the commissioner of the NWA?
About 6 months ago.
Okay. Modern day NWA counts less than TNA NWA. Heck, it counts a lot less than the post TNA NWA. It counts less than post Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana putting the belt down and walking out of the NWA. It
The only
counts
reason I
less
know
than.
about it is because I watch Marky D's channel and he reviews it, and it's a good laugh.
You also watch Juggalo Championship Wrestling. I don't know about you, Cindy. I think we may have to get you looked at. You know,
I'm somebody who doesn't have much time in a day to care.
the did you watch The Big Bang Theory?
No,
Okay. Well, there's an oft-repeated line in that show where Sheldon Cooper says, "I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested." And I feel like I need to ask, did your mother have you tested, Cindy? Like
for what?
for being crazy. You're following modern day NWA and watching JCW, and you volunteered to watch this show with me. I think I think there's something wrong here, my friend.
I just want to do a podcast with somebody who I like.
And I am one damn likable person, as uh, my lady type friend would agree. So,
Yeah.
main event time: NWA World Champion Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Harris in a non-title match. Now, we've mentioned my discovery of TNA back around this time. This is the first world title program in TNA that I was not only aware of, but actively followed along for. However, as I've mentioned, I didn't have the ability to buy pay-per-views, so I could only follow along on NWATNA.com, which, probably the recaps were probably written by Borash. So, my enjoyment of it was probably heavily skewed by reading Jeremy Borash writing about it. So, as the match got going, Hudson mentions that Rudy Charles, who's the referee here, was the referee that was slapped by Jarrett last week, but he is intimidated by Jeff Jarrett's power trip. Harris beat on Jarrett all around the ringside area and ended up standing on top of the announce table. Jarrett gained control more or less by dropping down and slamming Harris's head on the announce desk. Harris made his comeback and did a springboard crossbody to Rudy Charles. Admittedly, at some point in the past 2 years, I think we've all wanted to deck Rudy, but this was an accident. Jarrett stroked Chris Harris, and Kid Cash ran down and woke up Rudy Charles, but Harris kicked out. Jarrett kicked out of a spear, and Harris had the match won with a catatonic, but Kid Cash jumped up on the apron and screamed that if Rudy counted to 3, then he would be fired. So he stopped counting. And weirdly enough, this was the only non-ICP thing on the show that this crowd reacted to, was this blatant abuse of power. Jarrett whacked Harris with the title belt. Rudy was about to disqualify Jarrett, but again, they said that if he did it, he'd be fired. And so he forced Rudy to the mat to count to 3. And I think it works with an asterisk. Because again, it's like Chris Harris got fucked twice, because there was another spot where he had Jarrett pinned and Kid Cash threatened to fire him. So like Chris Harris pinned Jeff Jarrett twice, but got fucked because, Rudy Charles wanted to keep his $75 a night job. And, even with the dumb finish, I thought it was the best match on the show. I gave it a 6.0 out of 10.
I gave it a 4 out of 10. I really didn't like the ending whatsoever.
I thought it did a good job of basically saying that Chris Harris can beat Jeff Jarrett, and that it still doesn't answer why, if all the heels had to do is threaten the referee with their jobs, why did any babyface win on this show?
Trying to think.
Why, when AJ and Abyss had their match and he got disqualified, why didn't Jeff Jarrett tell the referee that restart the match or you're fired? Why even bother? That's the thing. Like, if you can just intimidate the referees to doing whatever you tell them, why even bother having a match? Russo once did an interview. He's like that. Everything he does, like he thinks if this could really happen, bro. And it's like, if this were real, bro, Why would Jeff Jarrett have a match here? Why would he not just say that, Chris Harris, you must lay down and let me pin you or you're fired? Fine, maybe Chris Harris would be like, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to punch you in the face. Why wouldn't he threaten the referee before now? Why did he wait until after he had a fair, clean match with Chris Harris and he realized he couldn't beat Chris Harris? Then he had to threaten to fire him.
Warped logic, I guess.
Then, to make my head explode even more, after the match, Jarrett takes the mic and screamed about how things will be done his way when Mike Tenay came out onto the ramp. Cyndi, I asked you earlier today, I asked you about an hour ago in real time here, who TNA management was. Who we've been told over and over on this show is in charge, has unilateral power over TNA.
Callis and Jarrett.
Yes. Today comes out and says that the owners of TNA have been watching. If there are TNA owners, why would they allow this? Plus, and this will never get brought up, but if there are TNA owners, who are they? I know who they are. Cyndi knows who they are. The listeners know who they are because, we know the real life backstory. But on the show, who are the owners of TNA? And again, if they were the owners, why haven't they done anything before now? Because we've now watched 6 weeks of this shit, and now the owners care. And then Tenay says that the new director of authority has rehired him and that the new director of authority is here to turn things around. Why do we always have to be reminded on the show that the show sucks?
Self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess.
WCW used to do that all the time. TNA does this all the time. WWE, remember when WWE had Baron Corbin come out and when he was the general manager and they fired him, they were like, this show's been bad because of Baron Corbin. And they talked on TV about how bad the show was.
It's like every year was a new era. Like the mid 2010s was a new era for WWE.
I thought you were going to say for fucking TNA because it really was for a while there.
Yeah. I mean, it was to be believed because it went from Dixie to some amalgamation between Dixie and Billy Corgan. Now Anthem, who took him a while, but actually managed to get it on its feet again.
Even then, Anthem had that period of time where they were merging with GFW, and that Jarrett was going to be in charge.
Oh God, you just made. Do you subscribe to WrestleSpective on YouTube?
I do. Scotty at WrestleSpective. Check him out. Defunct Championship Wrestling just got posted yesterday as we're recording this. Season 3 finale on GFW. And if, he does good shit, I strongly recommend subscribing to WrestleSpective.
Did you like the song?
That song I've heard before. I think that was on the Brian and Vinny show at one point.
Yeah, they ripped it from my friend Brian Henniger.
So back to the show here because we have to give the big reveal.
Oh.
Now, if this show were real, bro, who is the last person, bro, that the NWA would bring in to be in charge of TNA? Bro. It'd be fucking Vince Russo, who of course was the person that came out. Babyface, clean shaven, I now believe in God, Vince Russo, came out to be the director of authority. And why, if this were real, bro, would the NWA pick the guy who's made it his known life's mission to destroy traditional NWA wrestling? Why would they put him in charge?
Because his other mission is to destroy Jeff Jarrett.
Why would the NWA do that? Jeff Jarrett is the world heavyweight champion of their company. Why would they want to destroy the world champion of their group?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess.
Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. And it's like, yeah, if you need any further proof that Hogan is not coming in anytime soon, Vince Russo is back on television, and he's going to be here for 9 months. 9 months. 9.
Well, we only have to cover 6 of them.
7.
6.5.
6 3/4.
All right, fine. Enough of the semantics.
Match quality this week, 3.71. You gotta love a show that averages less than 2 stars per match. Overall enjoyment, 4.5 out of 10. These shows continue to be a chore. I get that in wrestling we're supposed to turn our brains off and accept a certain degree of bullshit, but these shows are a continuous slap in the face to anyone who pays attention to what they're watching. And now, future build. I gave it a little bit higher than usual because next week, by the looks of it, we're getting a reset show. We're getting one of those famous reset shows that wrestling companies do, that the first week is really, really good, and then it all goes to shit immediately afterwards because it all goes back to the same shit we had before. But so for 1 week next week, we're going to get a restart show, I imagine. And also, it is also the start of the Chris Harris main event push, which, if nothing else, has me excited to see how it goes. And I say this knowing, and I'm going to spoil this for you right now, when I was younger and I was just following this through NWATNA.com, I was excited for Chris Harris to win the world title. Spoiler alert, Chris Harris does not win the world title. And we'll see how this all goes from here. And but that gives us an overall rating of an almost shockingly high 4.74.
Oddly enough, it was a show that was a lot better than the show that we had 2 weeks ago. Probably was one of the best shows we've had so far this year, save for the America's X Cup that we had last week.
I'm going to say it might be the best regular show we've had all year.
Yeah.
But, all right. That's pretty much it. We went about 90 minutes, so I think the listener will be happy that we thoroughly covered everything.
We talked about some other stuff along the way. The Microsoft Excel World Championships. We talked about retrospective.
So who won the Microsoft Excel World Championships?
That show ended at 6, and we left around 5:45.
Oh man, I can't believe you did not you did not stay around to watch the finish of the Microsoft Excel World Championships.
Well, that would require me to stay in Applebee's for another 15 minutes, and I kind of didn't want to do that.
Let's see here. Toronto's Michael Jarman wins the 2024 Microsoft Excel World Championships in Las Vegas. This is according to the CBC website. It was down to the final 30 seconds at the Microsoft Excel World Championships in Las Vegas, and the crowd was going wild. Canada's Michael Jarman was in the lead, his eyes fixed on the scoreboard, desperately hoping that nobody would come up from behind and snatch victory from his grasp. When the clock ran out, Jarman leapt from his computer and threw his hands up in celebration as the spectators in the HyperX Arena erupted in cheers. Jarman, a Toronto financial modeling director, unseated Australia's 3-time winner, Andrew the Annihilator Nagai, on December 4th to become the undisputed world champion of managing spreadsheets in Microsoft Excel. And oh my God, I asked, like, what are you expecting for the prize kind of thing? But For his efforts, Jarman took home a $5,000 check and the event's signature pro wrestling style championship belt.
Yes, it's connected to the wrestling. It's connected to the show.
Unfortunately, they did not have a picture of this. They do have the YouTube video, which you can watch. There's a YouTube video, Microsoft Excel World Championship 2024 Finals. But I don't know if he did come back to defend his championship in 2025, though. Actually, no, I do see there actually is. I scrolled down to read the article, so I didn't actually see it. There is a picture of this man with his championship cummerbund, and it's green. So I guess Excel is green, but I mean, yeah. Speaking of GFW, the title belt here is green. So yeah, that at least we brought our Microsoft Excel World Championship discussion to a full circle. I'm sure our listener will appreciate that we took the time to find out who won the championship in 2024. If you want to know who won it in 2025, you can either Google it or wait till like next week. I'm sure we'll talk about it then.
No,
anywho, before we finish things up, anything else you want to talk about to the listener?
Live your dream.
Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again in 7 days.
I'm going to work on my spreadsheets now. Maybe I could win the 2026 Microsoft Excel World Championships.